Hello and welcome to our episode of the Uganda Diaspora Show here on Civic Space TV. My name is Lynn Komugisha. I'm your host, and today is a very unique day for us because we get to speak money. We get to speak things that affect many of us. And for most of you in diaspora, you know, your money is very sweet. Back home, we want to know what you're doing with your money. We want you to share your money, even when you're toiling so hard for it. But most importantly today, we want to look at how best we can use this money. How can we invest it? How can we make money for us? And I have been reading here that Africans in diaspora are the continent's largest financiers through remittances, and that is according to the African Development Bank CEO. He was revealing this some time back last year, and I think we need to learn from it. We need to hear what that actually means. And there's also another question that comes up. Can Africa's remittances be put to long-term work? Now, why am I talking remittances? It is that you people send a lot of money to Africa, to Uganda particularly. But again, I come back to your pockets. How are you handling your personal finances? How are you dealing with your personal finances? And is it just about working and sending money home? Are you investing it? Are you doing something with it? So today we are honored to have Mr. Micheal Kakande. He is a financial professional, and he deals in a lot of financial coaching, runs a number of financial literacy campaigns. So today we are sitting down to learn from a finance expert who's going to help us deal with our monies the right way. And hopefully at the end of this conversation, we will have learned how best to, what amount do I have to send back home? Or if I send it back home, what am I investing it in? And am I making the right financial decisions? Mr. Micheal Kakande, a very warm welcome to Civic Space TV's Uganda Diaspora Show. And the floor is yours. First of all, tell us about yourself and why you're interested in finances. Is it because there's a lot of money?
Good morning, Lynn, and thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. Hi, Miriam.
Hi.
Incidentally, I look so yellow. I don't know. I tried to change that. I failed. I hope I look a little handsome.
But I think it's your background or something, but it's okay. Let's go.
Okay. Just a little about myself. I am Micheal Kakande, also known as Kapalaga Biebe. I am an artist from Uganda, of course, and I was with Radio Simba for a long time before I came to the United States.
Wow. Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
musician and a financial expert. Okay, go on, please.
Yes. So when I came to the US, of course, just like any other immigrant, my purposely I came because I came to perform in this in the Ugandan convention, but just like so many of us who come from the other end to this end, you know, there are decisions that you have to make at the end of the day. So when I stayed here, I ventured into different occupations. To tell you, Lynn, I was working 3 jobs in a day. 3 jobs. But guess what? I didn't have money. And it's very common with a lot of us, especially the immigrants. Immigrants in America work so hard. They don't sleep, but they don't know how to save. So one time in 2020, I got sick. I got a kind of accident. And even after working for 3 jobs every day, when I got sick, I still had to find something to do in order to pay my bills. So I had to take on Uber, even when my back was hurting. So it was very frustrating. And during that mix-up, that's when I got to learn about financial education. I learned about saving. I learned about paying myself first because I wasn't doing that. So I realized every one of us, especially people who are in diaspora, and of course back home, we all needed this. So I told the person who told me, I want to educate this to the people. What can I do? He showed me what to do. He showed me the course to take and to get a license. And the rest is history. Now I am doing one job in America, educating people.
Wow, what a story. Very fantastic. Thank you about but how did you maneuver the system? Like, how do you go about the system? Because you must be qualified in a certain way, you must be certified in a certain way, I'm sure, if you're to practice in the US. So how do you go about that? And so are you certified?
Yes, just like you definitely put it. You can't do anything in America, especially with finances, when you're not certified. So there is a course that you take. I could call it a short course. Some people take years doing the same course. I only took a few weeks because I had that love. I thought I needed to do this. So I took that course and got licensed. And now I am licensed in around 20 states of the United States. And I am still working on other, it's just a matter of having someone that I want to educate in a state. And then I write to their state, they give me a license to educate them. It's actually doable.
Wow, very, very interesting story. Now, Michael, if you could take us through. So basically today we want to learn. And this is an audience for both Ugandans in Uganda and Ugandans out of Uganda, and even other people, African diaspora. It could even be other people because it goes, world over. So now we want to learn from you in your journey of educating people on finances. One, before we get into the biggest question of the day, where do you start from? And does a person really reach out to you and be like, you know what, I cannot handle my finances. They have bills to pay, they have education, they have insurance, they have relatives and family, they have ABCD. So at what point does one need financial education? And what are you educating them about exactly?
Thank you. That's a very good question. We need finances. You see, there is a problem or a challenge in America. And if there is a challenge in America, then there is a challenge in the world. They never teach financial education in schools. So everyone, you can learn about finances, you can do accounting, you can do any finance related courses, but they don't teach the core finance 101. So everyone has to figure it out themselves. Now we make a lot of mistakes, especially here in America, which is a capitalist state. They'll tell you will, you need credit. And in order to get credit, you need to borrow. And no one tells you how to pay off whatever you borrowed. So eventually people are dying with a lot of debts. People cannot save anything. People don't know how to invest in America, especially. And eventually, guess what? Because we don't know how to save in America, we don't know how to invest, we have to send back money to do what we think, what we know how to do it. I know that when I get money, I send to my brother, they buy for me land, they build for me rentals, I get money, right? So it's the same for everyone because that's what we know. And you can always imagine the story. Okay, I know the brother will, in a way, mismanage the funds, and then you disconnect, and then same story always. But why? Because we normally, first thing, we don't want to accept that we came to these countries. We take long. It takes us so long to accept the reality. When we are coming to America, we are always going back to Uganda in the next 2 years. Now, because we fail to accept the reality, we end up making a lot of mistakes. Because every time I am doing something to go back, I want to go back. So when I go back, I should have this. When I go back, and you go back for the next 10 years, for the next 20 years, until you go back when you're dead. Someone who came to spend like two years in America spends 30 years in America going back. So eventually they will have families in America. They will have kids, and these kids are now Americans, and they cannot go back to Uganda or wherever the parents came from. Okay, and guess what? They will live a life which is very sad. We call them Abanyaga here. The Black Americans in America live a very sad life because their parents do not prepare them enough, because their parents are thinking, I am going back, until they don't go back. So it is something that I realized after going through this financial education, because I was in the same boat. I realized, okay, so that means I have to do something. I have to prepare my life where I am, such that even when I decide to go back at the end, I can get whatever I have here and go back with it, rather than sending Lynn money. Because Lynn thinks, oh, when she says, I want 10 million, I'll say, okay, 10 million, that's 3,000. Okay, Lynn, give me two weeks. And guess what? Lynn thinks, oh, actually, when I ask for 10 million, I'll get it in 2 weeks. That means these guys have a lot of money. And when Lynn mismanages that money, she doesn't care. She knows I have the money anyway. And she's my sister. What can I do with her? So that's a very big challenge. And it's something that we have to educate people about, to tell them to separate emotions and reality. Emotionally, we want to be home. Realistically, we are here for some time.
Wow, that's very interesting. Miriam Kyomugasho, before I can go back to Michael, I think he paints a very huge problem that faces the diaspora that we have no idea about, and that we've never really paid attention to. But you have been in the diaspora, Miriam. We've had conversations previously about how to invest one's money, insurance, and those things. But what do you think is the biggest problem? Okay, financial problem that the Uganda diaspora faces.
I think Michael hit it on the head. I mean, it's just that people stay like in transition. You're like in transit. You are neither here nor there, and in the process, it's like day one you're saying I'm investing for my retirement in Uganda, and you are not there. Some people even end up like constructing, you are constructing a house, residential house. But even if you are in Uganda, you're gonna stay there maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, and you leave that house empty. But that house is not just a building, it's money which would have been invested, and it could have given you maybe returns and multiplied for you, money for you. Even if it's for retirement, you could have got profit and a lot more if you had invested wisely, instead of just putting it in a stagnant building and just abandoning it there. And yes, he also, like he also said, financial literacy. You see, when you come to USA or Europe or any other country, I assume the systems are so different. You are used to a Ugandan system. Ugandan financial industry is not developed. We don't even have developed capital markets. We don't have a developed mortgage system. We don't have any credit system to talk about. So when you come to US, the biggest working thing is credit system. Whether you want to buy anything in a store, be it like a chair, it can be bought to you on a credit. If you want to buy a dress, you already have a store's credit card, and that credit card takes interest from you. It's like a money minting machine for them. But for you, you have it in hand. You say, oh, I have this and I have credit to spare. Let me go buy this. Let me go buy a watch, a nice bag. But you forget that you're going to pay interest on that, or you are going to be indebted. And the moment you have those credit cards you have accumulated, that's spending, not investing. That's a liability, and it's going to deplete your pocket. So it's just like then like Mr. Kakande said, you are working 3 jobs, you don't see where the money's going, you just living from check to check, and that's a reality for everybody. You can ask anybody if how many days they spend home, how many even hours in a week. Most of them work 80 hours in a week and maybe sleep less than 40 hours, or stay in their home apartment less than just 2 days in a week. The rest of it you are spending it working. And where is the money? Nowhere. The car you have is bought on credit, you are paying rent, then you have to send money home which you are not investing. It's like you are keeping it there and it's not gaining interest for you. So it's either you're keeping it in a building or in a land which is not appreciating. Sometimes you could be lucky, maybe it's appreciating, but in most cases, people just put their money for retirement, like they are going home. So they don't think about whether it's an investment or it's just something for personal use, and you don't plan accordingly for that. So I think it will be interesting to listen to the expert and see how he really advises us to go about that.
Right, indeed. And Michael, it's not just people in diaspora. Even us here, you have 3 jobs as well, and the money at the end of the month you're paying ABCD and Z. Like, but wait, all that money is gone. Like, where did it go? So the question here is, Michael, please give us the advice. Where do we start from? How do we move with saving our money or investing our money the right way? And you mentioned something that I have heard another financial advisor to say, pay yourself first. What does that mean? How do I do that? I have bills to pay. I have dependents. I have a social life. So how do I do that?
Thank you, Lynn. First of all, in order to address a problem, you have to first understand it. We have to understand those people who have money, or those people who, for example, in such economies, what do? How can a person build wealth? Okay, so what I'm trying to say is we have to understand what do those people do, and what don't we do that is. Because once we know what they do, it means it's what we are not doing. And then we also have to understand what do we do that we have to change. So this is where I talk about the millionaire in next door. What do they do? Most of those people are not celebrities. even here in America, even in Uganda. I was a celebrity in Uganda. I know how life is in Uganda, especially with a celebrity. Very hard, right? And you can't tell it to someone because they think, you're in the limelight, they think you're well off. But when you lock yourself in your house, you talk to yourself, which kind of life am I living, sincerely? So most of the wealthy people are not celebrities, and they are not fancy people. They did not just inherit, but they are normal people like me and you, Lynn. But all they do is to get the knowledge. Once they get the knowledge, they start planning. And when they plan, they have consistent practices that they do over a long period of time. Meaning, when someone understands that I need to be disciplined, you have to work on your discipline. A lot of times we are not disciplined because we don't have the knowledge. Now, what my job is to provide the knowledge. And then when someone listens, they have to change their habits. Which habits? The poor are getting poorer and poorer because of their bad habits and poor decisions. We don't budget. We don't. A person here in America will go to Target to buy a roll of toilet papers. A roll of toilet papers. But guess what they come back with? Not only here, even in Uganda. You go to Standard Supermarket, I don't know whether it's still there, to buy, a gift for your baby, probably, a birthday gift for someone. But then that's when you find, oh my God, so they brought this chizigo. Oh, they brought this. Oh, I want this. Eventually your cart is full and you want a second one. We don't have financial goals for retirement. How many people do you know, Lynn, that know when they will retire? Of course, we know, at 65, someone has to retire, but do we actually retire at 65? No, we don't, because we didn't plan for that. We always don't have a goal when we are working. Because we don't have a goal, we simply work because we are supposed to work, because they told us, oh, you have to work. In life, a woman gets up and go to work. So Lynn, learn how to work. So you work and work and work without any goals. And then we have a very expensive life. We spend a lot. We spend beyond our means. And this is very common here in America. Just like Miriam said, we live with credit cards. Because guess what? Once you come to America, you can get anything you want. You want a phone? You don't have money? It's okay. Have it. You want money? Oh, here is a credit card. You can always withdraw money. You can always use that credit card to send money to Uganda. You can always, so you have money. Always. Now, because you can get a car, you can get a house, you can get a laptop, you can get anything you want, people dive in a lot of debts and they have a lot of liabilities. So a large portion of what they earn actually goes into paying interest. And then we don't prepare for emergencies. Even in Uganda, how often do you think that your kid can get sick? We rarely think about that because, of course, no one wants to think the worst. But in reality, we actually have to plan for the worst, even when we are actually in good times. And then we work for a living. We live paycheck to paycheck. I normally tell people, if you remember that money that they gave us to the vulnerable poor, In America, most of us are vulnerable poor. We got the, how was that money called? Miriam, do you remember? The money.
During the COVID, I forgot the name, but it was
relief something.
Yeah, we got most of us got that relief, and you know why? Because we are very poor, we are vulnerable. People who make over 100,000 didn't get that money because they are not vulnerable. But we are very happy. You see, I am in America. We got so much money. We love our country. We got that money because we are poor. And those who are not poor didn't get that money, and they don't even care whether they get the money because they know what to do. But if you ask someone, what did you do with that money? What do you do with money that you get in tax returns? They don't know. Our people make a lot of money. They can make 80,000 and then they ask themselves, well, did I make all this money? Where is it? They don't know. So you have to address that challenge after understanding it. Once you understand this challenge, then you have to go through this financial education. We have to bring financial education even back home. Because if we had this financial education, we would probably be having a different conversation right now. Once you understand that life, in reality, there is a curve in life. And there is a cancer called responsibility and time. As we grow, we have a lot of responsibilities. You know, when you're living in a life where you're a little bit young, you don't have responsibilities, and then responsibilities will come in when you're 20, then 30, then 40, 50, and then guess what? They go down. Responsibilities go down, right? By the time you're 70, you don't really have that too much responsibilities. But guess what? Your demands will now go high. During this time, in your 30s, 40s, you were looking after your parents, you have a family, you have your kids, and then, oh my God, you're overwhelmed, right? Just like you say, you have a social life, you have everything on your head, and you want to slay, right? With time, responsibilities go down. But when you're 70, you no longer work, but your demands go high. You want to live a life where you are, you have money. You must go to the hospital every other week, right? You must eat. You must have a balanced diet because that's what the doctor says. You must have someone to take care of you. Now, the question is, do we have the money during this time? If we don't have the money, then that's the biggest challenge. So my job as a financial educator, as a financial professional, is to educate people that guess what? You have to save money when you are in your 30s, 20s. So you grow as this money grows, you grow as it grows, you grow as it grows, such that when you're in your 70s, you have some money to live on. You will not be able to work, but you will have money to live on. You want to be a good judger, not a judger that comes around and then the grandkids are like, Mom, she has come again. Oh my God. But when you're a rich judger, every grandkid wants to be around you because they know you will take them to the park, you take them to the zoo, you'll take, you know. So that's where we say people here in diaspora have a lot of bills We have a lot of bills. And that's why we don't save sometimes, because we have to pay rent, we have to pay, for the car, because we have to pay for insurance, because we have to pay for everything. We have to send money to Uganda, because I have a friend, Lynn. Oh, she tells me, Banange, my kid is sick. Oh, you know what? I'm here in Governor, but I need some money. Please send. And because I don't want to look mean in Lynn's eyes, meanwhile, I've worked for some 16 hours, right? Or 80 hours in a week without resting. And now Lynn is calling me. She's in Governor and she wants some money. And because I want to, to be nice, and I want Lynn to know that I have money, I'll simply send. And I will not pay Michael. Even when I pay Michael, I pay what is the remainder after spending. Now we have to learn to spend what is left after saving. But instead, we save what is remaining after spending. And most of the time, we shall not have any remainder after we spend. So we want our people to learn that Michael is actually more important than any of these, even rent, even your car. There is some author called Robert Kiyosaki. Is a celebrated financial guy here in America. He said in one of his books that one reason why we don't actually pay ourselves is because we are selfish. It is more selfish not to pay yourself than it is giving out money. So we think we are being good by giving out money, but we are actually selfish because we don't think about ourselves. And he said we normally don't think about ourselves because the person in me, the Michael, will not complain. If I don't pay for rent, I'll get a letter. Eviction. I don't pay for the car, I'll get a letter. I don't pay for insurance, I'll get a letter. I don't send money to Uganda, oh my God, the calls, the messages, so I feel I am obliged to do that. Now, because no one is pressing me to give Michael money, that's why we normally don't give ourselves money. Because of that, that's why we say Michael is actually more important than any of these. Put them first. So pay yourself first. Because once you get some money, you pay off some money from what your paycheck or from whatever you make in a month, the rest will always find their way. Always. You can't fail to pay rent, trust me, because you fear. At least you will go and take some extra Ubers because you want to pay rent, because you fear eviction. But if you pay rent and you pay for your car and you pay for your insurance, and you'll say, okay, Michael, I'm sorry, man, I don't have anything remaining, but next time. And next time becomes next time, and next time will never come. But once you decide to pay Michael first, you will definitely look for money to pay for these. How do you pay for yourself? That's what you asked. I normally tell people in America, we can start with the minimum. If you work 8 hours, to tell you the truth, Lynn, in America, I haven't found any Ugandan working 8 hours. And yet that is the standard. But Miriam, do you work 8 hours?
I'm a student, so I have to really cut it short. But you are right, most people work 16, 12, beyond 8.
Now, let's work with 8 hours. I tell people, if you decide to pay yourself 2 hours every day that you go to work, you decide to pay 2 hours. If you make $20, you've paid yourself $40 a day. You work 5 days, you've paid yourself $200 a week. In 4 weeks, that's a month, you've paid yourself $800. In a year, you've paid yourself $9,600. That's if you are in America, where we work per hour. If you are in economies where you work per month, still, same thing. You make $80,000 shillings a month. Do you even know how much you make per day? How often do you convert this today? We all know, all we know is I make 800,000 a month. You have to convert this and know, oh, how much am I worth per hour?
Wow.
Right.
That's tough, Michael. That's tough because in Uganda, no one cares about how they earn an hour as long as they have money at the end of the month.
Exactly. And that is the biggest mistake that we make. I know so because I've worked in Ugandan corporate. All we care about is, oh, cheki yazeyo banange. Batusasude. That's all we want to know. But you need to sit down. Lynn, I am a mathematician. I never cared about all these maths until I learned about financial education. Now I care a lot about numbers. If we make 800,000, then divide that by, let's say you work 24 days. Okay? That means every day you make 33,000. You work 12 hours, then every day you actually get paid 2,777 shillings. You're shaking your head, are you okay?
I am, yeah, wow. We never pay attention to the numbers.
And that's why we do maths. That's why math is compulsory. But we never understand why we have to find X until we get an X somewhere. So, once you understand that this is my pay, this is how much I make probably per hour, okay, then what if I get some 2 hours every day and save it? If I save 2 hours, then I am saving 5,000 plus per day. And then I am saving 24 days, I am saving 133,000. So every month, if I can save 133,000, then I will have some money after some time. But we don't have money because we don't know how to pay ourselves. I hope I'm making some sense.
Got you.
So that's why I am very passionate about this financial education, because I was very poor at finances, very poor. And I know so many Ugandans who are even worse. But do they want even to learn? Many times they don't. Many times people will want to listen to full figure than they want to listen to me. That's life. So once we understand this, then in America, there is a system that you use to build wealth. And this once, I don't know, I want to export this financial education to Uganda one time. Because I know once we do that, Uganda will take off. It can't right now. It can't. Because, I mean, I've been in Uganda for some time. And I now compare the two economies and I know why America is America. So we have to adapt to a system where we build what they call a financial foundation. Wealth is just built. Guess what? Most of the time, even the rich people in Uganda are not wealthy because they don't know how to build a proper system. People in Uganda are rich, but they are not wealthy. That's why when you see someone when a rich person dies, they die with all they had because they were not wealthy. They didn't build wealth, but they had riches. Yeah.
How do we build wealth, Mr. Kakande?
Good question. How do we build wealth? So in America, here, you build wealth as if you're building a house. I'm not an artist who give my drawings, but you must have proper protection. You must have a debt management system.
I'm sorry, Michael, but you have to slow down a little bit. What is proper protection?
I'm going to explain that.
Oh, okay.
You must have a debt management system. You must have an emergency fund. You must have investment. Once you learn this, then on the side here, you must know how to plan for college or university. You must know how to plan for retirement. You must learn how to plan for your estate. This is the financial foundation. You build this as if you're building a house from the ground up. Proper protection is insurance. America was built with a foundation of insurance. Miriam, if you go to buy a phone, what will they tell you?
Yeah, you have to pay insurance so that in case of anything, they refund your phone. Or
how about if you buy a TV?
Same story. Even
how about if you buy a plane ticket?
Same, you pay insurance so that your ticket can be refunded.
Can you take a car from a bond without paying insurance?
No.
Can you have a mortgage without insurance?
No, everything actually is, even when you are renting, you pay insurance as a renter so that in case of damage or anything, yeah, your property is compensated. And those are requirements, like it's mandatory. There is no way like you can avoid it.
That is the foundation of wealth. Because they know that what if this, now imagine, just think about any rich person that died in Uganda and you no longer see what they used to do. Imagine they had insurance. and they left a lot of money, I mean, their legacy would continue. So we must learn, how do we protect our assets? How do we protect our health? And how do we protect our life? Someone lives in America. They've lived in America for some time. Okay? They have kids in Uganda. And then when someone dies, then the family starts thinking, oh, who is taking a child A, child B? Oh, Senga Abere Masaka Atwalono. Oh, uncle in Luero will take this. Why? For God's sake, why should your kids go through that? We are living in America. Our kids in Uganda are living American life in Uganda. They go to the best schools. They go to the best, they have the best. They shop from the best supermarkets because the dad or the mom lives in America. And even they oppose, no. John shops from this, his mother lives in America. Now, if you die today, will your kid have the same life? Do you know how it is very hard to get from up there, okay, up to down here? When they fall, it is a very hard fall. So that's why we have to understand that, oh, I need to have life insurance to leave something for my kids. Because I don't have any contract with God. I can die while in a plane back to Massachusetts. I'm in Maryland now. But I can die anytime. I don't have any. Now, how will I leave my kids? They're already living a life that I couldn't afford while I was in Uganda. So I need to understand how their life can be. I need to plan for that. I need to plan for health. What if I get sick? Do you know what people in America say? I'm an African. I don't get sick. Lynn, the health in America is very expensive. You have a toothache like this, they take it out. They take a tooth out from your mouth. They will bill you $5,000. $5,000. And because you're an African who doesn't get sick, you didn't have health insurance. So you have to pay the bill, Mr. African. So we have to learn to use the system in America. Of course, some of these systems are not applicable in Uganda, but we have to export them because that is wealth. Then we have to learn to manage our debts. We have to learn, especially when you're living in a capitalist state, everything that you do is credit. In order to build credit, you must take out a loan. And eventually people swim into a lot of loans that they don't even know how to get out. So we must teach our people how to pay off these debts. We have what we call debt roller. When we show you how to do it, everyone can do it themselves. But the problem is what? Knowledge. Everyone can get out of debt once they have the knowledge and the discipline. But they don't have the knowledge. Emergency fund. If you got sick and you can't work for 3 months, Lynn, would you pay your bills?
I would have to go back to my village.
Same thing happens to us here. I got sick in 2020. I got some kind of accident and I couldn't work anymore. My back was hurting so hard and my left arm. So I couldn't do any job, anything, literally. And by then I was working 3 jobs. I was making some good money, $7,800 every month. But I didn't have money. After paying my bills, I would send it to Uganda, take care of my investments. Now, when I got sick, I couldn't call people in Uganda to send me money because they don't have it. Do you know what I had to do? I had to get a pillow, put it under my back, and then put on Uber app and drive Uber. But my back was hurting. My hand couldn't move, the left hand. Now I was driving with one hand, but I have to make ends meet. That's 2020. It took me 9 months. 9 months to heal. Even when I was applying for insurance, they nearly declined me because they were wondering, how can someone go to the hospital every time for 9 months? But it is because my back was aching and I was still using it to drive. But I had no option. Now, how many people can live for 2 months in America or anywhere around the world if they can't get a paycheck for 2 months? We have to plan for that. How about investments? We must learn how to invest money where we are. How do Americans invest? Because they do invest. How come an American kid will work for, or an American will work for 40 hours and they are very comfortable? And we work for 80 hours and we don't have money. We have to learn to invest. In a company that I was working for, they told me, oh, we are going to give you what they call 401k. I didn't even know what 401k means because no one told me. Or they told me, okay, I asked, okay, what is 401k? The person who is giving me to sign doesn't even understand what 401k means. All they told me is, we shall deduct some money from your paycheck. I'm like, why? So that we keep it for you. No, please. No, don't deduct my money. I never signed for this. Until 3 years later, when I was looking through my drawer, I find advocates 401k. I'm like, damn, I didn't sign for this. Because now I know what 401k means. I know that I had to sign for it. I left money on the table. But it comes back to what? Knowledge. I didn't know. That means if I had worked for that company for 20 years, I would have left money on the table for 20 years. Because nobody educated me. How about college? University in Uganda. In Uganda, we plan for our kids for their secondary or after PLA results are out. We start thinking, oh, where will my kid go now? How many did you get? Let's try this school. Let's try this school. No. In America, people who are not migrants plan for their kids when they're still in the womb. They know where they will go to college. They know how much they need. and they start planning for that. How about retirement? I see Ugandans here, very old and tired, but they can't retire. All they are looking at is social security, but it's not enough. So we have to learn, how does social security even work? Do people even know? No, they don't. How about estate planning? If you die today, even you, Lynn, who is in Uganda, can your people get all your money? No. So do you know that your money, you're working so hard for your money, but if you died today, the bank will take it, or the state in America, that if the result, there is an advert for unclaimed money. And because Miriam doesn't know that Michael, who died, actually had money in that in some bank somewhere, she will not go to file for unclaimed money, even when the state announces for unclaimed money so much. She will not. Because she didn't know I had the money. Now we need to learn about estate planning. We need to learn that making a will is not actually dying. People think that when you tell them to make a will,
Michael, tell that to Africans. They don't believe in making a will. They think they'll make the will in their graves.
They think you want them to die. No, this is the thing in finance. So you plan that when you die, your estate is in place. Trusts. There are accounts now in America where if I die, my family will get every document that I had if I put that document in that account. Every bank account that I had, they can access it if I put it in that account. And they don't have to access it while still alive. They don't even know about what I have. Just for my safety, because how about if they know, oh, Michael had this amount of insurance, and then my wife plans for my end. So I have to be safe. But guess what? If I died, they would know how much money I had in which bank. Today, if I die, I have 4 different bank accounts. And if I die today, they will get all the money from those accounts. But they are in Uganda, they don't even know which accounts. They don't even know Bank of America. But they can get that money. Why? Because I am now educated about estate planning. So, once we get the education, everything will fall into place. That's how they build a financial foundation.
Wow, Michael, thank you for that challenge. And I mean, you shouldn't be doing this for the diaspora people or the people out there alone. I think you should venture into Uganda, because we have many people who earn lots of money, and all they do is party hard, spend hard, and at the end of the day, they're like, well, let me wait for the next paycheck. And yes, and when they fall sick, like you've already said, we are fundraising. We are fundraising for their medical bills.
In America, we call it GoFundMe.
I thought GoFundMe was for legitimate causes. Okay, it's also a legitimate cause, but well, could have been avoided. So people need this financial literacy, and like you said at the start, we don't really pay attention to financial, information. We don't want to educate ourselves on finances and how, because you've challenged me, and this is what I'm going to do. I have been paying attention to my finances, but not that hard. And most importantly, is calculate how much I'm paid per day, per hour, in fact, and see how best to also pay myself. That has been my biggest challenge, because most times when my paycheck comes in, I'm paying bills, I'm paying debts, I'm with my family, blah, blah, blah. It's running here and there. And I'm like, oh, I haven't done anything serious. Okay, next month I'll do better. And that's, I'm just not alone. We are many. And so, Michael, as we try to, come to a conclusion, Miriam, if you have any questions for Michael, and also, Michael, you could tell us, so where do I start from? Okay, I earn this amount of money. What is that basic space? Where do I start from to start having a conversation with myself and say, you know what, I am earning such and such a money, and my relatives in Kampala are asking for money, and I have to send this money monthly. And at the end of the day, I cannot even buy myself a car. I cannot, I'm talking about the diaspora people, let alone Ugandans. Where do I start from? Where is that starting point of saying, no, you said you have 4 accounts. I can't bring myself to have more than 2 accounts because it stresses me. I'm thinking, so what am I doing? So in my head, I'm saying it is stressing me. But I think people have, multiple accounts for various reasons. Let's first hear from Miriam. Then you can answer that.
Thank you, Mike and Lynn. I think this is really very informative, and we all need financial literacy. Like Michael said, our school system doesn't include this vital information in our curriculum. Yet we all deal with money all the time, every day. Even when you are a student, you need to manage your money. You need to learn from when you are a baby how to manage your money. We give kids some piggy banks and whatever, but do we really sit down to teach them how to manage money? There was one parent who was telling me that every birthday he doesn't go around making parties for kids, but he goes with them to the bank and he opens a savings bank for every child when they are born. So he goes with them to the bank and say, hey, today is your birthday and this is how much I'm putting on your account, and you should keep it there. So to teach them how to save. They can go and have a soda here and there, but that's some important lesson he has to pass on. But how many parents, if you don't know something, you can't even pass it on to your child. So it's even too much to ask parents to teach children savings when they even don't know what to do. Yeah, so, but I have a quick question. I know time is running. There is someone who was asking, is here in USA, and they have student loans, and there is a lot of saying that when you have student loans, you can't get mortgages, you can't get credit until you first finish your loan and all that. I don't know how people can manage that. How can you manage your loan as you are still paying for student loan and go ahead to get mortgage and other benefits? Some other issue is most people here in diaspora, Michael, we rush to invest back home. You said that's what we know, but I kind of think, for myself, I think it's even more beneficial to invest. Say, if you have money, you want to invest in real estate in Uganda. It's even more beneficial even to invest in real estate in USA, where you can manage your money, where you are there to supervise, instead of throwing it there where you don't see. Today I was watching a viral video of a lady crying that she saved, she even got loans to buy a house in Uganda, and then the brother bought him something in a wetland which wasn't even worth being called a house. But then she had got loans she had to pay back, but for nothing. That's more like theft. And the third question is, it's not a question, but it's a comment. Financial literacy. We talked about emergencies and how people don't save for emergency fund, like that pyramid which you were showing us on your screen. I realized that most Ugandans, for instance, end up falling into corruption because of that emergency. You didn't save for emergency, and we have all this big dependent community around us. Your mother falls sick, your brother, then your salary is stretched. All of a sudden, you have some money on the table. It's not your money, it's company's money, it's the government's money. And you say, I would rather die, I would rather take this and lose my job than letting my people die. And most people are pushed to be corrupt. They are not eternally corrupt, but the conditions push them to be corrupt because we don't say have health insurance projects. We don't have the financial discipline, financial knowledge to know how to save for emergencies like that. And like Lynn said, this information is very vital for all of us, even not only the diaspora community, but even Ugandans back home. We need to know how to plan for the future. And then the financial planners, the policymakers need to know how to put on some support systems like health insurance and workers insurance projects. Like if we had something like the 401k, which is not NSSF. I know NSSF is there, but very few people invest in that. It also has its own problems, which we can't go into here. But if there were so many investment funds, investment vehicles where people can save their money and you are cushioned for emergencies in case they happen, that would be good for the community and will go a long way even to reduce the corruption in our government. Thank you so much.
Yes, Michael, go on.
Yeah, I think you nailed that, Miriam. Of course, Uganda has its own challenges as an economy. The leaders many times don't think about the people. They think about themselves. They think about the next general elections. They think about, so the policies that they are making are not policies that are going to take the country for another 20, 30 years. They'll bring something up just, to play with the gallery, and then they go away with it. But you asked a question, where do we start from? First of all, we have to understand that it is very important to think about yourself. You as a person. Once you sit down in a meeting with yourself, look at how much you get, how much do you put aside, think about your next 20, 30, 40 years, and understand that whatever you're doing today is what is impacting your age 67 or 70. Whether you're in Uganda, whether you're in diaspora, you have to think about your year 70 or 60 when you're a grandparent. We've lived in a life where we are the retirement plans of our parents. Your parent pays for your school fees, and then it's like, Michael Nkumaze, atigwamanyi munange. You come to America, it's a different story. A person like me, a person of my age, will come to see his sick mother, and then they bring them milk and tell them, oh, I brought you milk and here is your receipt. I need my money. And this person is talking to someone who is sick. And guess what? We as immigrants think, no, look at these people. How can you do that? Of course, culturally, to us, it's not appealing. Like, you have to look after your parent. They are sick. But to them, it's normal because they teach them that someone has to plan for their retirement. They have to plan for such a moment. They must have money. Because the kid also has his own problems. He also has to take care of his next years. So we have to, first of all, understand that. And then understand that financial education is paramount. Just like Miriam said, we must task our policymakers, our education system, whatever. Let us have financial education. It's not only about learning about commerce and then that's it. We must learn the basics. Because once we learn the basics, then we can bring up children who know how to save, who know how to invest, who understand what bonds mean. How many people in Uganda even understand what bonds are? They don't. I didn't, at least. And guess what? I was a journalist. I was an artist. I should have known at least. I was working on a radio station. And after my show, there was always news. And in the news, there was always finance news. I never listened to the finance news. I never. I only know that Mwami Chisule Waguma is going to come and read financial news after my show. That's it. I never paid attention because no one interested me in that while growing up. I had the most popular show in Uganda. But guess what the show was about? Gossip. Gossip. So I had the biggest show in the country, and the show was about gossip. That's all we can do. Gossip. So we have to learn to bring this financial education to change our people's mindset. We have to learn, people have to learn to have certain policies and systems in place to understand that I can have money. I need to have insurance. I need to manage my debts. I need to have an estate plan. I need to have all this. So that's what I do in America. And I pray with time. I know I will export that because it's my passion. It's what I am looking at. It's my goal to export this education to Uganda. At one time, I know I will.
Absolutely. Wow, Michael, we can't say thank you enough because I know you charge for this kind of, sessions. And so we are glad
We actually don't charge.
Oh, yeah.
It's free.
We don't charge.
You didn't answer my questions, though.
What was the question again? Sorry.
There is someone.
If I can do that in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah. Someone with a student loan, can they still get a mortgage here in USA?
Yes.
And then the comparison, is it better to invest in USA or whichever country you are in instead of sending money back home where it's not supervised and you don't actually know how it will be managed when you lose your investment?
The second question needs a lot of explanation, which I might not give. But I'll specifically say, put your money where your mouth is. You can't manage money where you cannot be for 3 or 4 months. You can't. Because they will tell you, oh, mnange banange kanakataka kali wanu masavu. And you run. But you're not there. You're not there. When you're there, you're the vision bearer. Just imagine you have a shop and you're not in that shop for 10 months. The person who is in your shop will not take care of the dust. When it is yours, you always look at the details. But once you're not there, someone will do the basics. They will not go into the details. So in America, I normally tell people, we make a lot of decisions while in America, which we would not do, or or the decisions that we would not take if we were in Uganda. But because there is always a third party to understand for you, now, the moment there is that person, you can't progress. You can do something, you can build very big buildings, you can, but I mean, when you die, what happens to them? Will the kids that you have in America go and claim for them? I don't know. Maybe, but maybe not. And then so we need another hour of explaining that. And then about students' loan, you can get mortgage as long as you have credit. Even when you have debts. All they want, you see, in building credits, all they want is the discipline to pay. Are you disciplined to pay? That's what they want to see. If you're disciplined to pay, then they will give you another debt. And mortgage is another debt. Yeah. So as long as you're paying diligently and you don't miss payments, you know, that's all they want to see. Thank you very much for having me. I need to run. My schedule starts at 10, and it's I have like 20 minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Thank you indeed, Michael. Thank you so much. We're glad to have you here at Civic Space TV. Miriam, in a minute, as we let him go.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. I think we really have to invite you again, since we haven't even tackled the real issues. But thanks so much for what you've really given us now. I think everybody listening is able to pick out something and build on that. We shouldn't stop. You have listened about saving, but go deep and discover how can you save, which funds can you save in, which are more safer. There is a lot of information these days on internet, but we are too lazy to go over there. Like Michael said, his show, which was about gossip, was popular than the financial news. It's still the case today. And I'm sure even when you are in Uganda or anywhere, there is somewhere you can invest the money, even if it's a savings account which has some interest at the end of the year. There is somewhere, but we lack the information, we lack the knowledge, and we should all investing in ourselves should include educating ourselves on what to do, what is the right information for you, and how can you manage your life, your finances, and everything. But we can't just thank you so much, thank you enough, and especially calling you on a short notice, Mike. I'm so honored for your presence, and I hope you really save us some time and educate us more and with our listeners on how to manage our life investments.
Yeah, that's very right. I hope we can go in depth. You know, we can have financial literacy series of sorts, and so go in depth of the different steps or the different areas that we need to focus on. We thank you very much, Michael, and of course we wish you the best and hope we have you again. Please do think about us. And Miriam, thank you so much. Do have yourselves a lovely weekend, and God bless.
Yes, probably just like I said, I do this for free. I could give you my number. I don't know how we do it. You could share it with people, especially those in America and
you
Canada.
You can put it on the screen, yes.
How do I? Should I just write it? Probably.
Yeah.
781-363-5258. This is my number.
And everybody listening to Civic Spaces will be able to really catch you, and they can ask, and we will share.
They can even email me at mickmichael@gmail.com. Yes. Oh, of course, they can get me on my handles, Kapalaga Baby.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you stuck to that? Wow.
Yes, some of them, actually, most of them have this because it's the popular name, but some have Micheal Kakande.
Right.
I'm still
Well
a
done.
musician, Lynn, just for your information. In my free time, I even have a concert in June.
No.
Yes, I
Good
do.
for you. I think we should go there and watch. That's
Wow.
Yes.
nice. It's
Wow.
good to diversify yeah, like invest in yourself and be able to juggle this and that. And yeah, that's it.
Absolutely.
Very
That's,
impressive. Yeah.
that's very true.
Yes.
Thank you, Kapalaga. All right. See you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.